Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this is like I constantly say dream interview whenever I'm introducing these interviews, but this is like like above a dream. I don't want to say nightmare because that's like below a dream, but that's like a nightmare if it was a good nightmare, like a good dream, but as haunting as a nightmare, if that makes any sense. I'm here with none other than Mr. Claude Coleman Jr. It's an absolute wonder to be here with you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. I am. Yeah, I caught a little bit of a cold arriving here in Missoula yesterday, but I tested negative for COVID, which is a you know great outcome at the beginning of a run of shows. But feeling pretty good. Glad to be here and
Awesome.
talk with you. Yeah, no
Yeah,
worries.
I have a little bit of a runny nose and I'm on the edge to see what it's gonna turn
Mm,
out to be. I may take a test, but
mm.
I'm glad we're both feeling okay for now.
Yeah, we're feeling okay. Okay enough to talk.
Well, the I got a list of really goofy, some serious, some insane questions for you. So I hope you're ready. The first one being, I'm sure you know, or yeah, that you have, we've got Jeaner, we've got Diener. Is there a nickname that you've given yourself secretly, um, kind of Ween adjacent that you wouldn't mind telling me?
Uh, I don't think I've given myself a name or that I've been assigned one. I mean, I've been Jimmy Wilson pretty much as long as I've been in Ween. Jimmy Wilson Senior, because there's lots of James Wilsons. I've been Jim Wilson Senior pretty much in Ween since Jimmy Wilson came onto the scene in musical format.
Yeah,
But I guess that would probably be my nickname, Jim Wilson Senior,
which is
or the
like a
Senior.
really cool. It's almost like an undercover, like you're on the CIA and you've got like a little badge, and it seems like
Mm.
a superhero name in a sense.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, within our circles, Jim is sort of just like this. It's in every nickname. It's like we call everyone Jim. Like, hey Jim, what's going on? James, what's happening? James, what are you doing? I don't know, Jim. How you feeling? All right, Jim. And I'm Jim Senior, so there's a certain honor to that. Yeah.
Um, Next question would be, right? You are
Mhm.
with Ween, you are on, I guess, this little run of shows. If there was one song you could choose for a cover, maybe a solo cover or as a band cover while on tour, what would you want it to be?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's 30 years of music, 15 plus records worth of catalog to kind of cherry pick. Uh, I'm a big fan of the ballads of Ween. I'm a songwriter myself, so
Yeah.
um, the tunes that sort of impact me most emotionally and creatively are like the ballads and help me scrape the mucus off my brain. To me, is one of my favorite sort of quasi ballads. I love the sentiment of all their places we've all been to. Uh, I'd love to cover that song. But honestly, I mean, that's a really impossible answer. I would love to cover like every single Ween song there ever was. They're all really great to me. I know that's a non-answer, and it's kind of like
Yeah.
kind of I'm not you know, blowing you off, but there's just so many great songs. It just goes on and on. I mean, yeah, we play 35 songs a night. We're on our second night tonight, and we play no repeats when we do multiple, shows. So, 2 or 3 show run, we'll play like 130 songs. I mean, and just about every single one of those would be really amazing to cover in some way because they all really touch me. And, those guys are songwriters. Like, I hold them in really, really high regard. They've always inspired me, and just everything they've done is, to me, it's just like totally brilliant and cool and fun. So it all works for me. That's a hard thing to answer, but yeah, you can soften my brain. Maybe Freedom 76 would be fun to do another version or something, just for fun. But those are the first ones that come to mind.
Well, I'm glad we
Mm.
think alike in the sense that Ween is so fun and magical. I'm glad this is not like some corporate job for you. And speaking
Mm.
of singer-songwriters, I'm going to use that as a pipeline into your singer-songwriter, career.
Mhm.
Your solo project. has been like incredible. Would you ever consider, I guess, in the off time in the fall, maybe, jumping back in, doing some stuff?
Yeah, I'm sort of planning for it. I had two children in the last 4 years, and I've just been kind of focused on that. And then I have a business in Nashville where I live in North Carolina. So those things have taken a bit of priority, and they're sort of sucked up a lot of my time, and
Mhm.
really like decreased my bandwidth to have anything else to do. Uh, and so they're getting to the age where they're getting just independent and self-sufficient enough where I'm beginning to like have these emotional creative spaces sort of return to my life and starting to feel great. And I've started to kind of toy around with writing, and I'm definitely going to put a new EP out, um, hopefully at the end of the year or so. And I'd like to do a box set with that, with my 3 records, just kind of have them all contained. And
Mhm.
so everyone has all of my music at once, as opposed to, I did this record and then, oh, I found this record. This is other record I heard about. Oh, really? Where is it? I don't know, dude. So just to make it sort of easy, I'm going to package it all with some new music and, yeah, put it out hopefully at the end of the year.
That would be
Yeah.
very incredible. You bringing up your business reminds me of something, months back when I was trying to find you and a way
Mhm.
to contact you. Brent, who is your, I guess, coworker or whatever. I don't know
It's my partner.
the partner. That's the word for it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Brent is like a superhero. If you're seeing this, thank you for helping me set this up. You're awesome. This dude is two amazing bands, which I'm sure you know of, but I want to kind of make sure everyone else knows of. Monster Wave and the Beard Cult, two very different, but very incredible bands that you need to check out both of them and add all their songs onto your playlist. A little plug there.
Mhm.
I'm really sorry I had to put that in, but
Oh,
he's
that's great.
awesome
He
guy.
would love that. Yeah,
Awesome
he's an
guy.
awesome guy. He's a great guy, and he's super restless musically. He's like just creatively kinetic, just like he's just it's pretty inspiring. So he's great, and yeah, those two bands he's with right now are pretty cool. Monster Wave is a pretty cool surf band. They bring their own kind of thing to it. The Beard Cult is kind of like the soundtrack of Satan,
Yeah.
which appeals to everybody in my opinion. So certainly me.
And that's
But
how I
yeah,
got
they're
into it. I love
cool.
stoner rock and like heavy stuff and Caius and the Beard Cult. Just like if there was like an IV drip of just the Beard Cult and I could get hooked up and just constantly, I would do it. I would sign up, no questions asked.
Damn, that's awesome. Yeah, he'd love to hear that. I agree, man. It's cool. It's it churns you up. It's like
Oh yeah.
even at the slow tempo, it's like
The slow tempos are even scarier, because there's not
yeah,
much. The only thing pushing you is these like heavy ass riffs, and it's
right.
so thick. It's like a Skippy peanut butter, like the thickest peanut butter ever. And it's like you got a spoon in it, and it's taking you a million years to take the spoon out. But once you get it, it's like perfection. That's how I think I describe it for sure. And I describe that for
That's
Ween too. Like Ween is maybe crunchy peanut butter, very brown, but
mhm.
in the same sense, it's just different types of peanut butter, both equally amazing.
Very well put. Very well
And
put. Yeah.
what I would ask you now is, what's your favorite type of peanut butter?
Mm. Oh man, that's a good question. I shop at natural food stores a lot. There's this one brand I buy. It's got a peanut on the lid. I
Mr.
can't
Peanut?
recall. No, I don't get I stray away from the ultra processed stuff, and especially with having kids, I don't really want to kind of raise them on that. Although we were raised on it and we turned out relatively well, but I just having some knowledge about kind of what we're really eating and feeding our children, kind of trying to make amends a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know anything in Whole Foods that has natural ingredients. It doesn't have too much sugar, and it's nice and creamy. I like creamy peanut butter, I suppose. Although nice chunky peanut butter on occasion is pretty cool. And, nice multi-grain bread, good jam.
Mhm.
But generally creamy.
Mhm. Very good
Mm,
choice. Yeah.
thank you,
My
thank you.
mom is a doctor, a children's doctor, so she's very in food, and we do shop at Whole Foods. And I will admit,
Mm.
like sometimes I see the whole wheat in our fridge, and I'm just dreading having to eat some whole wheat bread. But at the same time, I think we all have to be thankful that we've got the resources to eat this incredible food that doesn't make you feel like garbage, which is a
Sure.
very lucky thing. Not
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. And it matters in the long term. It matters,
Oh yeah, sure.
with all these, residual diseases that are affecting everyone, and it matters in the end.
Mhm. Well, now I'm gonna stray a little bit away from food and back to music, which would be I've got a load of favorite drummers, and I've been lucky enough to interview. Now I've interviewed you, so there's very few of my favorite drummers that I'm waiting to interview because I've interviewed Brant from Caius, Braun from Mastodon, you from Ween and your solo, Gary Husband of Alan Holdsworth, and so many more. But for you, what would be the hardest time signature to play?
Anything after 8/4, I mean, like I can handle anything up to 8/4, or 8/8, or anything on. I mean, like I could sort of figure it out. I'm not so much a fan of that style of stuff, although I love a lot of the music that comes from it. I don't really have much experience playing a lot of it. I can do it. Like I can play fives and sevens and nines, and you can feel it pretty naturally.
Mhm.
But I just don't naturally gravitate toward it. I don't hear a song like, this would be really great in like 13/7, dude. Like, you know, because like to me, almost kind of wouldn't really. I mean, like, I think pulse and meter and time as a rhythmic template in a song is really important. And sometimes some of the odd times are a little jarring for me. As cool as they are, you're listening to it. It's like, whoa, this is like really rad. This is super cool. But like, it's super cool for like a certain sort of segment
Yeah.
of the listener, which is great. But like, no, I'm a little bit outside of that segment. I'm more rootsy and traditional, even though I'm down with a shit ton of prog. Um, but I just don't really play that so much. Yeah, I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever played in any kind of a band that's done odd times, except 5/4s and 7/4s, and maybe nine. But nothing crazy, nothing
Well,
crazier than that.
next time Tool comes to town, you should like hit him up, see if you can imagine that collaboration. Like I must say, that would be insane. But as a musician, I think I agree with you. It's a little bit daunting to play those kind of um, time signatures or whatever.
Yeah,
Next
I mean,
topic. Oh, sorry. Yeah, continue. Of
I was going to add to that. I mean, music is so subjective, right? I mean, it's not.
course.
And to the your point you made earlier, it's like there's crunchy peanut butter and there's creamy peanut butter. They're both
Yeah.
peanut butter. There's apples and oranges. They're both succulent fruit, but they're different. And they're both worthy and have value, and they matter. So there's nothing wrong with any of it. We're all just different people. We feel and listen to different stuff. And I've never really gotten really fully into that I just think playing that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Very true. Now, this is the most serious question I'm gonna ask you, okay?
Okay.
If you had to make a new band, right? You sitting in drums and you had to pick your bandmates, and they had to be aliens. These are alien bandmates, and you can pick from all of the planets, including Pluto, because Pluto gets dogged on too much. So where would you pick your guitarist, your bassist, and your vocalist from if they each had to be from a planet?
Hmm. It's a wonderful question. Um, the singer would be from Venus.
Hmm.
Uh, the bass player would be from Jupiter.
Ooh, yeah, with the rings. Or not Saturn, crap. Dude, I'm already getting mixed up, but
Um,
yes, good.
yeah, we need mass, so
Hmm.
Jupiter's got plenty of it.
Yeah, that
Um,
thickness.
yeah, the keyboard player might be from Saturn. It's bejeweled and
Mm,
rings and moons. And keyboards kind of like sort of emulate that sort of idea, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
So
I
yeah,
totally see that.
singer from Venus, uh, bass player from Jupiter, and keyboard player from Saturn. Uh, backup singers would be like, Uranus and Neptune.
Yeah, a little funky, huh? A little bit here and a little bit there.
Does that sound a little funky?
I think the people like if you're from Uranus or Venus, I think you got a little bit of funk in you, you know? I feel
Yeah.
like it's a very funky, those are both very funky planets.
Well, the name Uranus just inherently is kind of funky. There's a funny story. I used to date a woman named Uranus. I
Ooh.
I dated her for about 72 hours. She was the daughter of Coleman guitar player, which lived in the town over and went to high school with. So her daughter and I went to high school, and she was really, really like super foxy and amazing and like cool. But her name was Uranus, and I and I dated her for like yeah, a day and a half because my friends were just unrelenting with a barrage of just jokes. They just wouldn't let it up. It was from like morning, like and till like the end of school, just like, and then like over the phone at night, dude, you talk kissing Uranus, dude, Uranus, she smells really good today. Oh, oh my god. And then like actually pressured me to like, get out of that relationship.
Those are some, that's the type of friends that I have. And those are the best type of friends. Maybe not to pressure you out of a relationship, but to just
Yeah.
constantly be joking about it is, that's the stuff I feed on. You know, it's just so funny. And we can, if you have people you can keep on laughing with the most mundane stuff, that's when you know you've met your group, I think at least.
Yeah, I grew up with a crowd of pranksters. And, yeah, and now I've made a livelihood out of it. Yeah.
Well, this next one, we talked about no name answers a little bit before. This one, I am 90% sure you're going to give a no name answer for. So while I'm saying it, I want you to think about the best no name answer you can possibly give, okay? Because I'm going to judge you on it. So, new Ween music.
A no name answer.
Yeah,
So a non answer.
yeah. Because well, if you want to give an answer, if you want to say there's some new Ween stuff brewing, go ahead.
I
But
see. I see what you're going for. Yeah. Okay. New
yeah,
Ween music. Uh, like an asparagus risotto.
okay. Oh well, now now you're talking about risotto. I could go for some risotto right now.
Right. Everybody loves a good risotto,
Oh yeah,
but
it's a little
and
fancy.
an asparagus one is a little bit harder to kind of like get into and a little,
Yeah, I just know
you
that
have to
pea is
work
going to be
through.
smelling a mile away.
You can have stinky pea. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
little bit of upfront taste to kind of work around, unless you've already vibed with the asparagus in past times, but might not be for everybody.
hmm Yeah. Now, whenever my mom makes asparagus, it's always like, well, my go-to asparagus topping is a little bit of like some sort of cheese, and then like a lot of pepper and a lot of salt, and that kind of makes it for me. I can't have, I don't know, asparagus, plain asparagus is a little too funky for me.
Yeah, it's a little strong.
Very
It
strong.
helps add a flavor to complement it and sort of offset it. Yeah.
For sure. That's what sometimes you need in life, you know? Something a little offset, a little bit of flavor, make it perfect.
Yeah, you got to sweeten the poison.
Of course.
you got to
Well,
sweeten the poop.
well, speaking of flavor, there's been a lot of really amazing music coming out. Just around, Smashing Pumpkins just released something yesterday, and then we got more stuff, on the horizon. What has been some favorite new music that's, kind of recent that you've been enjoying?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sort of the wrong person to answer. Like I'm such a dad right now. I don't get out. I'm not really hip. I've had like 6 dates with my partner in the last 4 years. But half of those dates have been gigs actually. And so let's see, I did just see Kim Gordon, and her record is pretty
Lucky, that's a
raging.
very awesome record. Yeah.
It's a pretty awesome record. It's kind of like, it's edgy, noise driven, but like heavily rhythmic, heavy beats, great arrangements. Arrangements were really creative. The live show is really great. She came through Asheville, super badass. Uh, Brittany Howard's new record, I just
Ooh, yeah.
listened to. She's a really interesting artist. She's really all over the place. She's not really one or the other. I love artists like that. You can't sort of categorize really easily. but somehow find their successes and find their way out to reach masses of people and stuff. That's always really awesome. Um, those are like the first two things I can think of anything new recently that I've sort of been exposed to. I'm always like digging back, like I'm always trying to catch up. You know what I mean? There's just so
Mhm.
much music that like I've still not heard, that we've all still not heard, and just like it's just amazing to me. Just like when I'm just picking up records or when I meet other musicians. I just did a tour with DJ Logic and
Yeah, I saw
friends,
that.
and it was really fun. But there's this guy, keyboard player Chris Bullock, who plays a Snarky Puppy, and he just has this really intense wealth of like jazz and jazz records and like with the new stuff. And he was just rifling off all these like amazing sounding records. I'm like, God damn, I gotta. And I made this like this, this massive spreadsheet of stuff that I gotta still check out. But it sounded like completely amazing and relevant and like badass and super creative and futuristic and stuff. And so I'm still sort of playing catch up with old stuff, and I'm playing catch up with new stuff. Like, you're in a better position to tell me stuff to listen to, like, because like I'm kind of up my own ass a lot. And I'm up the ass of my friends and like my network and my circle. And we don't veer too far out too much anymore, especially with the kids. They just keep me home. They just,
Yeah.
they keep you locked down, like until they don't, you know,
Mhm.
until they don't.
Well, I hear a lot of people, say that fatherhood is like, a burden. I'm positive it is. I am looking forward to it though. Like as long as, of course, no guarantees in life, and as Rascal Flats do say, life is a highway. But I mean, I think it's very positive. It's a positive outlook in life to look forward to having a family, and spending time with um people you love. Like it's a different love than your friends, you know what I mean? But
Mm.
a beautiful love nonetheless, and that is something I'm looking forward to. And your music choices are great. When speaking about jazz, right? Like I got into Mingus at the end of May, and it's been on repeat. And Minkus is like badass. Like this dude, this big ass bass and a cigar in one hand. Like I can't even
Yeah.
imagine how these dudes from way yonder. I wonder what their personalities must have been like and how they must have acted. Like I know Mingus was like a gangster. He was Tupac. He was
Mhm.
badass. But like, what about what's another jazz? What about Miles Davis? Like I
What
wonder.
about
I
what
wonder if
about
he
him?
was like a gangster, what was he? What kind of a
I
guy
thought
was he? Was he a cheese guy? Like one of those fancy cheese snobs? Like I wonder.
no, he's quite evidently a serious motherfucking gangster. I mean, just total badass personality and creatively. A lot of like those jazz cats, man, are like super punk rock, and like a lot of rock guys I know and girls, they like identify and they pick up on that, like bebop is like the first punk rock to me. You know what I mean? It's like, they took jazz and they just made it own. They made their own language and vocabulary. It's too fast. It's too many notes. It's too long. It's like barely listenable. You know what I mean? Like, and like so, yeah. Like the characters that sort of engineer that sound and that those ideas were freaking just nuts, man. Like you can't even make up the stories you hear about these guys, like Charlie Parker, like, copping dope and then like, selling his sax the next day, cop dope and then buying another sax to do the gig. You know what I mean? And but just there's like some pretty serious characters in jazz, and you can hear it in the early music, and there's a lot of passion in it, and that's just like really easy to identify with, as a rock musician or for anybody. Um, and there's just so much of it. Most of like half of my Desert Island records are jazz records, I would say. I wouldn't want to be abandoned from the rest of humanity without like it. At least several of my favorite jazz records. The expression is just like limitless and out of bounds and in outer space. Just
Mhm.
fucking amazing.
I completely agree. Yeah, especially if you're on like a desert island. I need something to encapsulate how I feel and how I could feel later on and how I felt beforehand. and Jazz does a really damn good job at that. Another serious question, but this time like actually kind of serious, which would be, you guys were gonna play Atlanta, and then of course some stuff happened. Are we gonna see Ween ride into Atlanta one more time? Because I'm not in Atlanta, but I am maybe 40 minutes out, and I need to see Ween before I leave for college, which is like 3 years maybe, like
Yeah.
here in Atlanta with my family and friends. Do you have any
Uh,
insight on that?
I'm going to assume that the gigs are going to be rescheduled. I think
Hmm.
that's usually what happens when there's some sort of unforeseen sort of thing that cancels the gigs. They don't just kind of throw them into the ether and forget about them. They just kind of find another date. I actually need to find a little bit more about that myself for my own kind of schedule and planning for the next bunch of months. But I'm pretty certain that they're probably gonna, pick them back up again. Atlanta is just like a default, spot for us. Like we can't avoid it, ignore it. And so, especially when something like this happens, where we're supposed to be there and then we're not, and so this, I'm sure that's going to tie into a string of other rescheduled stuff. I think it's probably like all the guaranteed. I can't say when,
Yeah,
maybe the next lunar eclipse, but
yeah.
we'll be back there for sure. So you've never
Very
seen Ween
glad to
before?
hear. I have not. I mean,
Yeah.
I've my music taste has been like the Big Bang, starting
Mm.
of 2024 really, or like the summer of 23 is when I got into Genesis, and then I was like, I knew my whole fall was gonna be fucked with music. I knew I was doing nothing but music, and I loved it, and I'm still riding that high, and I'm gonna plan to ride the high, for as long as I can.
Mm. How did you discover it?
Uh, Honestly, I think it was I love Queens of the Stone Age, and there's this clip of Josh of Queens of the Stone Age saying that uh, Queens and Ween played Stubbs in Austin, um, a couple years back, and I was like, Ween, what a interesting band. And then I looked them up on YouTube, and this is
Okay.
compilation videos of like uh, stupid Ween moments or crazy musical Ween moments, and you listen to that, and it's like the catalog is like insane. And then I found my favorite album, Shinola Volume 2, which I
Okay.
just adore that album and the production and everything. And it's been downhill from here. They been addicted. I spent all my I'm trying to get some merch, but I'm out of money right now. So as soon as I get
Oh,
money, it's going straight to Ween. It's an
I'll
addiction.
hook you up, buddy. I'll
Oh,
hook you up
appreciate
for
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw you something. I'll get your address, after we talk, and
Mhm.
I'll send you some stuff.
Oh, well, I really appreciate it, man. And then I'm looking forward to seeing you in Atlanta. Next time you guys come, even if it is in the next couple of years, that's gonna be mind blowing. I know it is. I know it's gonna be crazy.
It's an interesting phenomenon. We've been doing this 35 years or something. I've been playing Ween, and people are still just like finding out about it. Like all of our concerts, all of our shows, it's just like 10-15% of the audience is like, oh, it's my first Ween show. I finally got to see Ween. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, good on you, buddy. Good on you. But it's like this regenerating, self-feeding, cult, mainstream cult. That just
It's
sort of
much
like,
better than any political cult or any Scientology cult that you can possibly be in. If we're
yeah,
ranking
fine
cults,
line.
it's the best
Mm,
cult. I would
mm,
say it's up there. And
yeah.
with the young generation, when I was at the Swan show to do an interview, uh, I was so excited, but I thought I was going to be the only one. The past couple of concerts I've been to, it's only like 20-year-olds and over. And so at the Swan show, which was in April, I think, it was crazy. I saw kids my age, kids that went
Mm.
to my high school, it's getting fucking shaked. Like you could see they're rocking because of how loud it is. But the fact that we can share,
Swanson's the loudest band in the world.
oh yeah, and it was
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
worth it. My ears ring every. I wore two pairs of earplugs. It did
yeah.
not save me, and I loved every second. It was truly. There's something to be admired about that, and it's not, with jazz. Well, so every genre has like a specific twinge about it. Where jazz has this communication of feelings, with maybe no choice and speed. And Swans is the same thing, but with dynamics and
Mm.
lyric choices. Which actually that's a great interview question right there, which would be for Swans. What do you think your kind of, I don't want to say claim to fame, but what would set you apart from another brown band like All Them Witches? You know,
Like who?
All Them Witches. You know
All
them?
no,
They're awesome.
not
Well,
familiar.
I can't add more music onto your plate, but
Okay, no, but case in point, like you're in a better position to turn me on to stuff like I'm picking up a kid from preschool, trying to get them in bed before 10. I will. I'll check them out. I'll totally check them out.
all right,
But
cool.
what was your question again though? Did it let
Um,
into?
a little hard to yeah, a little hard from the words. I guess what sets apart Ween?
Oh, I think that it's our catalog of songs, it's a catalog of music, and it's like the styles and the genres, which is just like outside of all bounds and boundaries and free and just sort of like limitless and it was just naturally created like that, and it's just always kept that sort of constant of just being whatever it's going to be, even though there's a commonality of the sound and Aaron and Mickey and their styles and stuff like that. It's just been whatever it wants to be, and I think that kind of sets it apart. It's not just a rock record. It's not just a country band. It's not a jam band in the slightest bit at all. It's just like a really free for all sort of like creatively like unhinged kind of thing. It's been a super magical thing to be a part of because it's like I'm in like 20 bands in Ween, and then all the other bands I play with is like a reflection of just being in Ween. Like I play with Honky Tonk live karaoke band in Asheville. I play with a hillbilly punk band. I play with an organ trio. And I just those are all musics I've totally identified with that, like the guys do as well, and we just grow up with that, and it comes out in our writing and our and what we produce, and so it's just been super super free in a way that I don't think any other band has sort of been, and I think that kind of sets us apart. We can just do it all, and I think that's what makes it really great. Like that's what makes it a thing where you can just grab someone by the collar and bring them into a Ween show, and they don't know anything about anything, and it's just like, holy God, like what is all this, and it's just like it's pretty magical, it's pretty special.
Uh,
I would I wouldn't want to play in one band that just one thing, and I have, and I do, but I wouldn't want to be really, really successful at that. I want, Ween is like the perfect answer to, success in music, in my opinion. It's just like you get to just do it all, and people love it, and no one's sort of preventing that.
it's like looking at a biblically accurate angel for the first time with all the eyes and all the wings. And I'm nowhere near religious, but it's so interesting to see that. And there's so many facets of coolness. And it's like almost in a sense like looking at a cool picture. Like what's the I'm not even gonna try to go into that because we have so little time left, but it's like looking at a good drawing win, and there's so many different weird things about it. And it's like the background and the trees and perfect. It really is. But we're at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So
Okay,
I'm gonna
all right,
do a kind of loaded question, and then
yeah.
I'll have to pick up where we left off when you inevitably show up to Atlanta, where if it's with your karaoke band, if it's with your hillbilly punk band, if it's whatever it is. But um,
Yeah, I'd love to come through there with a model, connect with you.
that would be sick. Um, 3 moments in your life that changed your life. Uh, to basically make you pursue this career, this passion?
Um, there was the first like major festival we did. I can't recall what it was, but I remember doing a festival with Ween, and I don't know, Ween up until the point where we started doing festivals and really large shows, we were just sort of doing our own thing and sort of, minding for ourselves and not really like considering much of what anyone else thought, even though there were crowds and people loved it, and like, there was response and feedback and like an appreciation, all that love. But I think it was still sort of insular for us, and we're still, it's always been for our own selves, right? It's always been for the most selfish sort of like act, in the world, like, like making us get ourselves off and everything. But I remember doing like a festival earlier on, and all of the bands that were in the festival were like all on the side of the stage. And I remember the drummer from Faith No More, uh,
Crap.
killer drummer, whatever. But there were just a bunch of musicians on stage. I remember coming off, and like him and like a couple other guys were just coming up to me one after the other. I was like, dude, man, like, wow, this guy's just fucking just ripped. What's going on? Like, who are you? He said to me. I was like, who are you? I was like, my name's Claude. I mean, but that's Dave, that's Aaron, that's Mickey. And then it
That's
was
the
like,
best answer.
it was sort of this introduction to our own like community, like we had fans, but then like it came around to like our community, our network, kind of getting into it and picking it all up. And so that was like a turning point for me. I was like, wow, okay, that's really, really awesome. Another big point for me was when we did Letterman. We did a bunch of TV, but when we did Letterman, it was like a little bit special because my father, he's a Superior Court judge and ex-police director, amazing man, like super awesome. Like we're very close. He's like a brother. We look alike and stuff. But like, up until that moment, like as long as I've been doing Ween, for which was at that point, like, 10, 15 years, he hadn't really given it much consideration because he's like old school. And like, being a musician is just like, you're gonna do what? Like, how do you make money doing that? Like, what are you gonna like?
My
You need something
parents,
to fall back.
exactly.
Yeah, you need something to fall back on. You need a degree, blah blah blah. So, and I avoided that. I was like, don't worry about it. I just went on the road and I stayed on the road, and I kind of made my way. And then, but he never really considered it seriously at all. I never really connected to him on any other kind of deeper, more serious level until we're on TV. You know what I mean? Like we're on Letterman specifically. We've been on lots of TV, but Letterman specifically, I remember the day after, it's like, wow, I could see like it impacted him on this like deep emotional level, and we connected, and that was really amazing, like, to feel. And I was like, I think I'm gonna keep doing this, and I think I'm gonna build on this, and I think, because I mean, like, you'd be surprised to find out a lot of musicians are like really self-doubting and self-questioning, and it's a real struggle. A lot of people who are out in the forefront and under the lights don't necessarily want to be there. They have anxiety issues, and they're like, introverts and stuff. So I was, I never really thought much of what I was doing, and I almost still don't. That's sort of my philosophy about it. I'm like a conduit now. I'm just like, it's coming through me. I'm channeling all this amazingness, and I'm trying to add to it and color it, and treat it. But, it's not about me or anything like that.
Of course.
But that works against you when you're trying to make a career out of it. Like, what I mean? Like, so, and then like, a great, one of my favorite quotes in the whole world about the business is, it's called show business, not show friends. It's important to make that
Yeah, yeah.
distinction. You know what I mean? For so many different reasons. And so I
Well,
think we go along with it as it being show friends and show friends until, we reach that moment of reckoning. It was like, oh, okay, I'm good, or I'm in this for, for the haul. So those
well,
are two
I
words,
need,
I think.
yeah, I need to cut in right now. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I've got like literally
Yeah.
5 seconds. I may get cut off any moment. It's been an
Okay.
honor, an absolute honor to talk to you. I'm
Absolutely.
rounding this off.
Absolutely.
It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure. It's been incredible. Good luck tonight with your show.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Godspeed, good health, and
Thank you.
I'm gonna see you. Okay, I'm not letting you live that down.